So this is where it all began. This is when our leadership of the country buckled on illegal immigration and what to do about them and their children. And this is what led to the economic destruction of all the families where I grew up in California. We never had jobs. We never had the option of having jobs. Getting a job was never something that was even a thought because we've never seen anyone that was able to do it. Every job at every company, every business in the Los Angeles area where I grew up, no matter how old or young the person that worked in there was, they were all illegals. We had an entire society built upon illegal immigration, people being paid under the table, people working for half their wage, but at least they had jobs. And when we couldn't get hired, we decided to gangbang. But this is how it started.
David Grossberg, and I'd like to know, do you think the children of illegal aliens should be allowed to attend Texas public schools free, or do you think that their parents should pay for their education?
Who are you addressing that to?
I think you're first in this.
He was looking right at you. I said he was. Look, I'd like to see something done about the illegal alien problem that would be so sensitive and so understanding about labor needs and human needs that problem wouldn't come up. But today, if those people are here, I would reluctantly say I think they would get whatever it is that they're, what the society is giving to their neighbors. But the problem has to be solved. The problem has to be solved because as we have kind of made illegal some kinds of labor that I'd like to see legal, we're doing two things. We're creating a whole society of really honorable, decent, family-loving people that are in violation of the law. And secondly, we're exacerbating relations with Mexico.
Well, then they can't be honorable, decent, family-loving people and criminals at the same time. See, these hard decisions should have been made in the beginning to protect our country. But instead, they pandered to people who would figure out a way to use the illegals to pad the voter rolls for for these politicians. And they use them against us. Remember, for every illegal that illegally votes, that's your one American vote canceled out. So it's 1 in 1. So we don't even know how many votes of Americans are even really being counted because the numbers are so skewed because we have so many illegal, undocumented criminals here in this country, and it does affect our bottom line. Now, this is from the year 1980. The measures Donald Trump is taking today, if they would have just applied 10% of this effort back then, we live in a different world right now.
The answer to your question is much more fundamental than whether they attend Houston schools, it seems to me. I don't want to see if they're living here, I don't want to see a whole thing of 6 and 8 year old kids being made, one totally uneducated and made to feel that they're living with outside the law. Let's address ourselves to the fundamentals. These are good people, strong people. Part of my family is a Mexican.
Can I add to that? I think the time has come that the United States and our neighbors, particularly our neighbor to the south, should have a better understanding and a better relationship than we've ever had. And I think that we haven't been sensitive enough to our size and our power. They have a problem of 40 to 50% unemployment. Now, this cannot continue without the possibility arising with regard to that other country that we talked about, of Cuba and what it is stirring up, of the possibility of trouble below the border, and we could have a very hostile and strange neighbor on our border. Rather than making them or talking about putting up a fence, why don't we work out some recognition of our mutual problems, make it possible for them to come here legally with a work permit, and then while they're working and earning here, they pay taxes here.
Never considering for every one job they come over here and work, that's one less job for a citizen in this country that's already here who's an American. How did they miss this? How do they not understand that for every one illegal that comes over here and works, that's one less job? There's hundreds of millions of Americans. How many jobs do you think that we have to spare? In my opinion, I would say none. We're not illegally going to these other countries and working their jobs, but they're coming here. But we're not supposed to expect our bottom line to be destroyed. So, with these decisions, 8 years later, 1988, comes out a movie called Colors. I remember this movie. I was a tiny kid, but it was about the gangs in LA. One thing I remember growing up in Los Angeles is that when you go to grocery stores, all the employees are Mexican. I'll be honest, living in Los Angeles, I never seen a white person except a couple of the teachers at my school. There was no such thing as a white or a black person who worked at a gas station or a market or a store or a fast food restaurant or a car wash. My entire life until I left California, I had never seen people that were employed who were not Latinos. Ever. Now, I got lucky. I had a family that owned a company in real estate, so I was able to work for my family business when the time came, and then I had to branch out and do my own thing. Those of us who survived Los Angeles and were able to get out of the gangs were the ones who moved. So that means we had to leave our home state just so that we could find employment. I remember going to Arizona as a kid. I had never seen a white person in a grocery store as a teller, like doing the checkout. Then there was another white person bagging groceries. I had never seen it before. When you leave California, it's a completely different universe. But you got to also consider when you're 16 and 17 years old and you're trying to get into the workforce, the job at the car wash, the job at the grocery store, the job at these small businesses, historically, they were open for young Americans who are just getting their start on life. But in California, we never had those options because every single job that was made for a young American went to a middle-aged Hispanic person with 4 kids who would eventually complain about that minimum wage job they were working, that they were being paid under the table, was not enough for a livable wage. But you're not supposed to be supporting a family off of that wage. That wage is supposed to be for Americans. Those are jobs supposed to be for kids. You know, the jobs at the mall, the jobs in the stores, the jobs, stocking the shelves at Walmart in the middle of the night, working at Annie Ann's Pretzels. I'm from California. Everywhere you go, the only people who are employed everywhere, Latinos who are taking jobs under the table. Again, I got lucky. I had a family business to work for. The rest of my friends did not. So this is where you see a lot of the gang culture came from. Look at all these. Now this is a movie, but this was just an example of what it was like for the boys, the young men. You have nothing to do in California. There's nowhere to go. There's nothing you can afford. You don't have a job. You have nothing constructive to do. So you could become a career student and go to UC Northridge or go to one of these JC schools. But when you get out of school, where are you going to work? All the jobs are taken by illegal immigrants. So what are you going to do? You're going to have to leave your home. You're going to leave your home state. If you can, you're going to have to leave LA, maybe go up north to Sacramento, maybe try to go to the Bay Area. A lot of us went to San Jose. We had to get out of LA because of illegal immigration. Now this is 1988. This is 2025.
LA is like this. LA, this is the real LA.
This is the
We showing y'all.
every day.
Like we showing y'all.
Yeah, homie.
This ain't no capping.
USC right across the street.
Okay,
right
USC right across the street though.
Right over there.
The real thing, not no fake. This ain't no cap. Like we really right here. We hold all this shit down. Exposition pool, all that. Nigga, Draco died right across the street from the hood.
Right here.
Cut died right across the street. He was in the hood. If you know, then you know. If If you don't know, then you don't know.
Only house on the motherfucker.
For sure. Only crib. All these are everyday faces you see in the hood, cuz. Everyday faces you see in the 40s.
You know, it's crazy. I grew up about 10 blocks from this. I grew up like this. There is nothing for the young men, the young kids. There's nothing to do. There's nowhere to work. And it was just an afterthought of ever even getting a job and being productive because, well, if you were born in the 2000s, you never seen it before. It was never an option on the table. I never realized how much illegal immigration destroyed the lives of everyone I grew up with in California and pretty much most people in my home state. You know, recently they just revoked 17,000 CDL licenses from illegals in California. Just took them away. Within 3 days, all my friends who are truckers that were out of work, Americans, they're all getting contracts and offers to get back on the road, triple the pay. That easy. That's simple. They're back on the road because the illegals were no longer allowed to work. So you mean to tell me my entire society was destroyed? The childhood that most of us were, as an American, you grow up, you turn 15 or 16, you're supposed to get a small job, go to school, you work your way up to another. All of that removed and taken away. All we could do is just try to gang bang so we can try to make a little bit of money hustling and whatever we could do because there were no jobs available, because people who work under the table illegally with no benefits had a monopoly on them in California for what, 30, 40 years now? And look what it did to the kids.
That even go for homegirls. Everyday faces. That go for the lady legs on hood. Real shit.
So if somebody wear blue over here, what's gonna go down?
They gonna get up on. We gonna get up on them. But this ain't no just, if you wearing fruit, we ain't gonna just like, you feel me? Oh, we automatically think we gonna get up on you though, but we're not gonna automatically think you a cop. We just gonna be like,
between 1988, the movie Colors, and 2025, nothing has changed yet. You know, when you go to LA, it's more than half Latino. There's barely any black gangs left. They've all been ran out. There's no more. There's not a lot of certain families anymore left in California. Because not only did they work, but they had their own gangs too, and they wiped a lot of these gangs out. Illegal immigration removed every opportunity that these young Americans in California, in LA, in the metro, in these big cities, Oakland, Los Angeles, even San Francisco, all the opportunities that that were supposed to be available for us to start off our adult lives were removed. We never had a chance. We never had the option. There was never even a possibility. I had one friend back in junior high school, and he was an illegal. And my friend Sean, his brothers, their whole family was illegal, but they all worked at a car body shop. So he's in 8th grade driving to school, no license or nothing. He would be able to go work with his brothers, working on cars. They didn't get benefits, but they were still making some money, which is better than zero, because the laws didn't apply to them because they're not American. So labor laws didn't apply. There were no standards had to be met for them. And they could do whatever they want, work under the table. And they were always ahead of Americans who were just basically trying to follow that regular, normal path. Not realizing that between, if it was steps 1 through 5, 2, 3, and 4 were removed. So how are you supposed to get to 5 from 1? I'm not talking about adults. I'm talking about kids starting out. Look at all these young men and women that have nothing to do on a beautiful sunny day in Southern California, Los Angeles, walking around, nowhere to go, looking to get in, either going to get killed or kill somebody and go to prison. All of these kids that you see on these videos, their entire family lives off the government. government housing, government food subsidies, government everything, Social Security checks. No one's working. That's why I'm saying I grew up in LA. Why do you think we have traffic 24 hours a day? Because no one's at work. We don't have jobs. Illegals have jobs. The rest of us just live here because our families are here and we don't really want to leave our family. We're getting money from the state. So we kind of got to stay here. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Gangbanging was all we had because these men, our old leaders, sold us out and gave our livelihood to illegals to benefit a few that own corporations who are making a whole lot of money. That's why when I see Trump and Vivek and fucking Elon talking about H-1B visas, more jobs they just want to keep giving away to illegals. Even if you come over here with a visa, more jobs you want to just keep giving away to foreigners, literally destroying the society in our fucking cities every year. And they don't care. But we elect them hoping that this would be their responsibility to make sure that futures for Americans are protected, and they're not. Even though Trump's talking about bringing in some Chinese workers or whatever and Koreans, at least he's literally getting out all these illegals and pushing policies that are making it so that they cannot work. 17,000 is a big number. It might not seem like a lot in the big scheme of things. That's a lot of job openings. I was in LA about a month ago. Walked into a little liquor store. Now, this is right after Trump put belt to ass. 2 months after Trump came there with the military and put belt to ass in LA. I was in Echo Park. I walk into a market by Dodger Stadium to get some orange juice. An American white male was literally working at the register. That was the first time in my entire life I've ever not seen a foreigner working the register at a gas station, at a liquor store, at a market. I've never seen it in my life. And I keep score. And he didn't have an accent. So it's not like he was like Czechoslovakian or some kind of Polish. No, he was actually an American, had an American accent and everything. Insane. I've never seen it before. So when people want to come to me about, oh, maybe we're being too harsh, and not, you know what? If it comes down to you or them, you better choose you. I want to see more deportation. More people must be removed from, it's not just the voter rolls, it's the employment rolls. People will work the jobs. They just were never available for us to work, ever. We have to get rid of the illegals. This cannot continue. The whole gang culture, the way it is in Los Angeles, I would say it's 99% due to the fact that no one can get jobs because they're all owned by illegals. Trust me, nobody is working from 9 to 5 and they get off work and go put on some gang clothes and go gang bang for 2 or 3 hours a day. That doesn't happen. You're doing one or the other. And when we don't have no jobs, all we could do was gang bang. There's strength in numbers. And we're trying to, basically, you're like a little think tank. You're trying to figure out how to get some money because there are no jobs hiring because they're all full from illegals. And when one illegal quits, they have they have a whole network of other illegals that come in and replace them. And eventually, if you do have a job, they'll replace you with an illegal. And no one's thinking about that because California is its own little desert on the other side of the country, away from the capital, away from these other big cities. We're marooned out there on the West Coast. Besides LA, what do you have? Phoenix and Vegas? That's it. What other big cities are there? No one goes to San Francisco. That's further away than Arizona. So we're just out there marooned by ourselves. Finally, we're making a dent and we're able to expose that the issues we're seeing are because of illegal immigration, why people don't have jobs, why everybody wants to gang bang and go kill each other and commit crimes. If they had jobs, if there were jobs available, not saying they're not motivated to go even apply, there's none to apply for. I, as an American that's going to work for $10 an hour, cannot compete with a foreigner that's an illegal that'll take $6 an hour. There's no way I can compete with that. And honestly, it's a good business decision if you have the option. But if we're going to close your business down because you're hiring illegals, Well, now that $10 makes way more sense than zero. Let me know if you agree. Like and subscribe, share the video. I'm just watching these hood blogs, and I remember when this was me and my friends.
From you feel me? Based on how you wearing it too, on lane, but it's still see kill everything. The way blood walk on lane, you look like a member and you wear flu. On lane, you can wear anything. Oh, blood, this is small shit though, blood, but it's gangland.
Armies of aimless young men with nowhere to go, nothing to do, no guidance, and nothing constructive available for them to do. Most of these boys would be happily working some job over the summer rather than just walking around broke and poor, looking for something to steal, looking for someone to rob, and waiting to get arrested. Illegal immigration is destroying the fabric of our society. It's already destroyed our country. It put our people back. We lost 30 years due to illegal immigration. It has to stop. Actually, 40 years, because, I mean, think about it. This right here was in the 80s, it's 1980. The movie Colors is 1988. Gang banging and gang culture was huge. The mass murder of all these people was a big deal. Look at this. Everybody just standing around. No one has a job. No one has anything constructive to go do. 1988. This is 2025.
I'm I got my dailies up in his head.
My boy Big West.
Probably went too nice shit. Yeah.
If you're tired of seeing this, then you're going to have to support the president's agenda to get rid of all the illegals and to stop the immigration, stop the importation of foreign workers. You have to support the agenda to get rid of them. By any means necessary, we need to see more. They all have to go by any means. If they won't self-deport, we got to support ICE. We got to join ICE. We cannot allow this to continue like this forever. Share the video, like and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts. I'll be back in about 20 minutes with another video. Remember, America.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.